Être un bon traiteur, c'est être intransigeant sur la qualité. On ne fait du bon qu'avec le meilleur. C'est être impitoyable sur les recettes. Quand c'est bon, il n'y a rien à ajouter, rien à enlever. C'est être irréprochable sur le goût. Il faut prendre du plaisir pour en donner. Voilà, pour être un bon traiteur, il faut être intraitable.
Parfaitement intraitable.
Hello and welcome to what has been a rather foggy morning here at Magny Cours for the first race of the Hoosier Formula Cup. And we are finally, hopefully, getting some racing underway. If you've been waiting for some commentary to get underway, big apologies on that. We don't control the weather here. It was so foggy this morning that driving in was even a struggle. So luckily now we are seeing a bit of clear air out there. Not lots. If you see, the visibility will still be quite difficult for these drivers out there. They haven't exactly got front lights. They've obviously got the rear lights to say where they are, but they haven't exactly got headlights on these cars. So it'll be very much trial and error here of what we do. But the pit lane is open and the start has been confirmed. It's going to start under safety car conditions, which means that all the cars obviously will stay behind the safety car while they work out the visibility around the track. Different parts of the track have different bits of visibility, basically. Speaking to one of the drivers yesterday, they were saying that Sector 1 might look clear, but once you get round to Sector 2, around the back of the circuit, you struggle to be able to see anything. So it's very much a trial and error at this point. These are the first cars that are heading out this morning, and they will be a bit like the guinea pigs a little bit now, but safety obviously the most highest priority of anything out there, so we will be starting behind the safety car. Qualifying was quite impressive yesterday. If you missed that, it was definitely one to watch. Hugh Barter leading the way in pretty much every session. Dylan Estra looked like he was going to get pole position in the second qualifying session for the second race tomorrow, later today rather. But just at the end, Hugh Barter managed to pip him to the timings and managed to pick up pole position for both races. The final race will be decided by the race results. So we only know the grids for race 1 and 2. And as it stands, it is Hugh Barter starting on pole position, the rookie returning to the championship after taking last time out in Aragon off. And he will rejoin us this weekend and hope to take the lead back of the championship, which has been handed to, at the moment, to Nano Lopez, who unfortunately had quite a few issues during qualifying. He beached it into the gravel in the first qualifying session and managed to qualify down in 7th, which is why he's so low. And in the second part of qualifying, he just couldn't seem to get a fast lap. So cars 22, 58 and 10 must turn on their rear lights. So I was explaining the front lights don't work, but they do have rear lights. So as you can see there, car number 22 has not turned on his rear lights yet, and that is Hugh Barter, who's starting on pole position. So he will get told by his engineers to make sure that he turns his lights on. Chris is on the grid, so worst comes to worst, if Chris could tell him, that'd be great. Just needs to turn those rear lights on. But they're all heading round to the grid now. So like I say, it's Hugh Barter on pole position from Dylan Estra in second. Aaron Ferrazzano will start third, and Matteo Valente will start fourth. Fifth is Lauren Footage. I'll sort of speak you through the whole grid very shortly, but the cars are starting to line up in their positions. Hugh Barter to the left of the grid, and to the right will be Dylan Estra, car number 23. I think now is the perfect time, though, to head down to the grid, because I can see standing by, ready to give us all of the information on the grid with the 5-minute board being shown, is Chris Stevens.
The grid of the first race of the day for the Hoosier Formula Cup, and I must say, normally we talk about drivers being too hot inside these cars with all the Nomex race gear that they have to wear, but actually I'd rather be in Hugh Barter's position right now with a nice toasty warm cockpit. And let's have a word with Hugh. Hello Hugh, we missed you.
Thank you, how have you been?
So on pole position yesterday, I mean that lap kind of came out of nowhere as well.
Yeah, I had quite a bit of traffic the entire session, so I made sure it counted that last one. So yeah, I mean, glad to start off pole for the 2 races, so it was good.
And obviously just back in the championship, back to pole position, but Dylan seems very fast this weekend. Are you expecting a challenge?
Yeah, I mean, he seemed to do a good job. It seemed like he really put it together in quali. So, I mean, never know what's happening in the race, especially with these conditions. It's hard to predict.
It's 3 races today, very busy schedule. Does that affect you at all?
I like to think not. I've gotten used to sort of unexpected things. I think we had something similar in Portimao or something, but yeah, I mean, we see.
Go well out there. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. We have got the 3-minute board now being shown, so we've got to vacate the grid. So let's go back up to you guys.
Thank you, Chris. Lovely to hear from Hugh Barter. Wonder his thoughts on the conditions as well, really. I know we haven't got time to ask him everything, but it would have been good to hear his thoughts on how he feels that the conditions will be out there, because this could be a bit of a struggle for them. Like I say, these cars do not have headlights, so they are very much wandering around this track trying to feel exactly what it's like. It's also chilly this morning, quite cold out there in terms of track temperature and the air temperature. Track temperature will be quite low because the air temperature is at 10 degrees out there, so it is a chilly old morning in Magny Cours at the moment, and this will be our first indication. They've gone round and done their the lap that they have to do to get round to the grid, basically, but this will be their first sort of indication of exactly what they are going to expect come the race. I don't know how soon we're going to lose the safety car, or whether the safety car remains for the entire race. Because that fog is being very stubborn this morning. The 15-minute board will be shown, and it looks like Hugh Barter has turned on his lights, so hopefully he had a word. There is a Winfield Racing car there, which might be Craig McClatchy, who hasn't got his rear lights on, so hopefully conversations will be had to turn your lights on. Craig McClatchy was one of the drivers that was told to make sure he turned his rear lights on, and actually there, it doesn't look like he has. And there seems to be 2 of the Winfield. There's another car there, which might be Walter Reichardt, who also doesn't have his rear lights on. So got to turn your lights on, lads. Otherwise, you won't be able to be seen in this fog. And it's definitely Craig McClatchy has not turned his on there, which is concerning. But hopefully someone will have a chat with him and turn on his rear lights, because you must have those on. And he will be reminded once again by race control, and they will demand those lights are turned on. Safety car start then underway. That means the race is technically underway now. I know it doesn't quite feel like it is, but the race is underway. The timing screen has started ticking down, and the race starts under the safety car. Hugh Barter on pole position, Dylan Estra then second, Aaron Ferrazzano is lining up third, Matteo Valente is fourth, Laurent Vutic is fifth, Jeremy Clavard is sixth, Nano Lopez down in seventh, the championship leader, Solian Amrouche in eighth, Walter Reichardt in ninth, Craig McClatchy is rounding up the top 10. And there's a spin already. Couldn't see who that was, as I was just having a brief look at the timing screen. So that is that's Craig McClatchy. You didn't turn your lights on. That's the problem there. It's not the problem. I think he's just spun a little bit. You can see where the tyre marks have gone in there, and he is in the first sector, I believe. I can't quite see where that is, but unfortunate for Craig, who at this point in the race, I don't know what they'll do. Will they just remove it? It's already under safety car conditions. Will they decide to bring the cars back through and red flag it? I don't know. The visibility is so bad. Spun at turn 3, yeah, so it was in the first sector, is Craig McClatchy, who is sitting waiting for either the car to turn back on and be able to get round that is, I mean, I can barely see the cars. That visibility is low. It always looks worse on the cameras, it has to be said. I remember looking at some of the cameras yesterday, and when we had the Endurance prototype, and the fog looked quite bad when you look at it through the cameras, but actually on the onboard, it wasn't as bad as it looked. So it could be that the visibility is worse where the camera is and overlooking where the fog is, and actually for the drivers, the visibility is actually not as bad as it appears. All the flashing lights on the rear, and as you see, are very important. The rear lights need to be turned on to make sure that the car in front can see where you are. And It's a hard time for these drivers because they've got cold tyres, and which is why we probably saw Craig McClatchy spin. The cold tyres just gave way, unfortunately, and unfortunately he lost the rear and is now stuck at turn 3. So he's a little bit further. He must be on the Estoril. Oh, we've got another one there. That's Gilles de Pierre, who again, I think that's a similar position there. He's come off the track. He was originally starting 13th and had an issue there. Couldn't see again. I was looking at where Craig McClatchy was. But obviously the drivers are really struggling with these cold tyres, and when you're going the speed behind the safety car, you're not getting the heat that you need in the tyres as quickly as you can do when you're in race conditions. Obviously, it gives you some time to slowly heat them up, but not as quick as it would be under race conditions. So that looks like Craig McClatchy getting going again. It is. So Hazard, he can catch up and see if he can catch the pack, but obviously will be at the back of the grid. I think he was pretty much at the back of the grid anyway. Let me have a look. He was qualified 10th, so he will join the back of the pack after that spin. Has not still got the lights on that car though, has Craig McClatchy, and I don't know if there's an issue with those. He's slotting back into his position, it seems, or overtaking Gilles de Pierre rather. You can't overtake under the safety car, so not quite sure what he's doing there. He might be putting himself back into his position, which would seem odd if you spun, but there we go. I'm sure we'll work all that out in a second. Bit of a spin there, bit of a, not a spin, rather a little bit of twitching from Nano Lopez trying to get heat into those tyres again. And maybe Craig McClatchy was trying to outlap himself. I'm not entirely sure what he was doing. We'll have to take a look at that in a second. So safety start car continues out there with 15 minutes left on the clock, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I don't know how much racing we're going to get under these severe conditions. And the safety car sped up a little bit out there. The personal best is starting to come through the timing screen, so the heat is getting into those tyres now, which is what we like to see. They've had 2 laps to warm them up, so it's incredible when you can work out when these tyres start getting warmth, because already they are. Craig McClatchy has put himself back up to 10th where he was on the grid. And unfortunately it's still under race safety car conditions here. I'm going to have to look at the conditions of Craig McClatchy, because if the clock is ticking, you are absolutely not allowed. Safety car is going to come in this lap, so I'm going to have a look at some of the rules of that later. Car number 10 under investigation for safety car infringement. So I would assume overtaking under the safety car, which I nearly second guessed myself for there, is absolutely not what you're allowed to do. So after Craig McClatchy spun at turn 3, he then overtook 5 cars at the back to make his way to his position that he would have started in. But under safety car conditions, you're absolutely not allowed to overtake. So I thought that was a pretty signed, sealed, delivered rule in motorsport. But we will see what the stewards have to say about that. But it raised my eyebrows. So let's see. Anyway, we are going to go racing. Safety car is going to come in this lap, and the tyres are now warm enough, and they are setting personal best behind the safety car. So it would suggest that those tyres are coming into the perfect temperature to get racing. They're just coming around the final few corners of the track into turn 15 and up towards turn 16 where the kink is. So Hugh Barter will start backing up the pack as he is now, still trying to get that heat in his tyres, weaving slowly as he tries to make his way around the final corner up towards turn 15. And here comes the kink into the start-finish straight. When will he go? And it sounds like he's gone already. He pushes down the throttle and he goes and starts the race. And we are under green flag conditions, and Hugh Barter obviously leading the way. Nano Lopez there looking like he was about to make a move on Jeremy Clavard, but it is Hugh Barter who has set the pace already and pulled away from Dylan Estra behind. Top 4 then pulls away quite quickly. That's Hugh Barter, Dylan Estra, Aaron Ferrazzano, Medea Valente, and behind it was exactly that. Nano Lopez makes his way up from 7th past Jeremy Clavard and Laurent Vutic. So good start then for the championship leader. He's just got to find the rear now of Matteo Valente and see if he can get past. Right, there is Jeremy Clavard, who is new to the championship, and Solian Amrouche and Laurent Vutic having a bit of a ding-dong there. Don't think they touched, but Hugh Barter has no issues out there, seemingly. Sets the first purple of the race, which you would expect at this point because we've had no real fast running under the safety car. But 11 minutes left on the clock means that we can get a little bit of a race going here. It's harder for me to see the cars, I'm not going to lie, in some of the corners, but I will do my very best with the visibility so poor on track. But at the moment, they all seem to be tiptoeing around a little bit and being careful. Car number, also okay. Car number 10, safety car infringement, no further actions. I'm going to have to look into that because it doesn't make sense to me, but let's not worry about that now. No further action for Craig McClatchy for that safety car infringement.